Hey, Math 7 students. Today's lesson is on one-step word problems. So we are going to jot in the date, which is the 27th. And our learning target today is going to be solve one-step word problems. So here are our steps. We want to make sure that we're reading the entire question first, trying to think about what is the question about, and then reread the problem. And when you're doing the reread, underline and annotate important information and key vocabulary. You can cross out anything that's unimportant, and you want to decide which operation to use. Is it addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division? And then you're going to solve it. And then when you've solved it, you want to make sure you're checking your answer. Is it reasonable? Does it make sense? So when we look at the sum, we're going to be talking about addition. So actually, I'll type it in. Type it in. There we go. So sum is addition. Difference is subtraction. Product means to multiply. And quotient means the answer to a division question. Okay? So the average is add everything and divide by the number of things. So if I said find the average temperature for the week, there's 7 days in a week, you would add up all of the high temperatures for that week and then divide by 7 because there were 7 of those things. The rate, we're going to kind of skip over the rate, but we'll come back and we'll talk about the meaning of per and how that can help you kind of clue in where to find the rate. So some different keywords that can indicate a negative: a loss, a withdraw, drop, or fall, maybe in reference of a temperature. Descending in elevation, so maybe a plane or a submarine is descending. Below sea level. Debit, writing a check. Increase, ooh, that's not negative meaning. That's not right. Cross that one out. Those need to be switched. So it should be decrease, not increase. Decrease would have a negative meaning. And then down. So these are all words that, and this may not cover every word that you'll see in a word problem, but these are some great starting points for negatives. So positives would be gain, deposit, rise, ascend. So ascend is the opposite of descend. If a plane is taking off and going up into the sky, it's ascending. Above sea level, a credit is like money added in or earned, earning a paycheck. Increase and up. So those are just some words to kind of start us off, and then from here we will also look at what they look like in a context. So exercise number 1, suppose the temperature was -6 degrees Fahrenheit at 5 a.m. 7 hours later, the temperature rose 8 degrees. So it increased 8 degrees. Find the new temperature. Because it rose or it went up, we're going to talk about this in terms of a addition question. So the starting temperature was -6 and it rose 8 degrees. So we're going to add, find the new temperature. Now, the fact that it happened at 5 a.m. and that 7 hours passed, that's like extra information. We don't actually need that. So one of the methods that we know how to solve addition questions with is the scoreboard method. So in this case, the positive team ended up winning by 2. So your answer should be +2. Another thing that sometimes kids struggle with here is the idea of Fahrenheit versus Celsius. Don't worry about it. It's consistent. Everything's being measured in Fahrenheit, so we just basically look at the degree measures and do our calculations. Okay, so the new temperature would be 2 degrees Fahrenheit. Exercise number 2, the winning contestant on The Biggest Loser stood on the scale and saw a weight loss total of -132 pounds. So they lost 132 pounds. If the contestant was on the show for 12 weeks, what is the average change in pounds per week for the winner? So we're going to do the total number of pounds lost divided by the number of weeks. So pounds per week. The pounds has to go on the top and the weeks go on the bottom. So if I go into my calculator, I would just do 132 divided by 12, and the negative is really just indicating the loss. So whatever we get, we could just put a negative sign in front of it. Okay? So in this case, we get negative 11 when we divide, which means the average rate of change was 11 pounds per week lost. So we just want to summarize what happened in this question, what's going on. So far we had an addition question first, then we had a division question, and now we're going to look at question number 3. In Alaska, the temperature over a 12-hour period dropped by 3 degrees per hour. So each and every hour, the temperature keeps going down 3 degrees, down 3 degrees, down 3 degrees, and it happens for 12 straight hours. What was the change in temperature? Well, instead of, what we could do is we could do -3, -3, -3, -3, -3. We could keep doing that for 12. Or a faster way would be to multiply. We remember that a negative times a positive is a negative. We should get -36. So the change in temperature was a decrease of 36 degrees. Okay. So we've seen an addition question, a division question, and a multiplication question. Now exercise 4, if you can take a guess here, the one operation that we haven't seen yet is subtraction, so that's what we're going to do now. Town A has an elevation of 155 feet below sea level. Town B is at the top of a mountain that has an elevation of 1,025 feet above sea level. What is the difference in the two towns? So last week we talked about a diving board question, and we looked at from the top of the diving board to the very bottom of the pool, there was a distance between, and we talked about the highest point minus the lowest point gives us the difference between the two. So we're going to do the same kind of thing here. We're going to say the highest point is 1,025 feet, and the lowest point is negative 155 feet. And the key part about this is the fact that when we have minus a negative, we have a double negative, it actually becomes a positive. And if you think about it, from the top of the mountain to here to 0 would be 1,025 feet, and then you have to go another 155 feet below. So the difference between the two elevations would actually be equivalent to adding the two numbers, 155 and 1025. So if you grab your calculator, 1,025 plus 155 equals 1,180 feet elevation difference. Okay? So as you're working through the classwork questions today, and also when you're working on your homework, I want you to just do your best. So it's going to be graded on effort and completion. Choose which operation you think is most appropriate, adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing. And then you can look back at your notes from earlier in this unit for what the specific rules are that go along with each of those things. So remember, for multiplication and division, if your signs are the same, your answer is going to be a positive answer, and if the signs are different of the two things that you're multiplying or dividing, your answer will be a negative. For addition and subtraction, you can use the scoreboard method. Just make sure that for subtraction, whenever you see a minus in front of a number, that represents a negative value of that number. All right, and take your time and do a nice job on your classwork, and I will be able to answer any questions for you when I return. Thank you.